Most people taking creatine have no idea how full their muscles actually are. They're supplementing, training, feeling fine, but there's no gauge, no indicator, no way to know whether their muscles are at 60% of their creatine ceiling or 95. That invisible gap between where you are and where you could be is everything, because the performance benefits of creatine aren't linear with dose. They're front-loaded towards saturation. Getting from 60% to full is where the gains are. Getting from 95 to 100% is almost irrelevant. This is why two people taking the same 3-gram dose can have completely different results. One is moving the needle, the other is barely maintaining. Your skeletal muscles have a maximum creatine storage capacity that's set primarily by your muscle mass. For an average adult, full saturation represents around 120 to 160 grams of total creatine distributed across all skeletal muscle tissue. Most unsupplemented individuals, even regular meat eaters, sit somewhere between 60 and 80% of that maximum. Vegetarians and vegans with essentially zero dietary creatine often start lower. The gap between where you are and the ceiling is your saturation headroom, and filling it is what produces the measurable performance improvements. Until your muscles are fully saturated, you're running the phosphocreatine system at reduced capacity and don't have a reference point for what full capacity feels like. This is why the first few weeks of creatine supplementation feel like gradual improvement rather than a sudden switch. The reservoir is filling incrementally. There are two strategies for reaching full saturation. Loading 20 grams per day, split into 4 or 5 doses of 4 to 5 grams each for 5 to 7 consecutive days. This brings your muscles to or very near their maximum capacity, roughly 4 to 5 times faster than the maintenance dose. Non-loading 3 to 5 grams per day, consistently without an initial elevated phase. At this rate, full saturation is reached in approximately 3 to 4 weeks. The endpoint is the same either way. Your muscles end up at the same creatine level regardless of which path you take. The only difference is how quickly you get there. Loading is faster but carries a higher risk of gastrointestinal discomfort. Nausea, cramping, bloating, particularly if the doses aren't spread throughout the day and aren't taken with adequate food and water. Splitting the 20-gram daily load into smaller doses helps significantly, but the sensitivity still varies between individuals. For most people, the 3 to 4 week wait on the standard dose is fine. The gastrointestinal cost of loading isn't always worth the time saved. Once you're saturated, maintenance is 3 to 5 grams per day, every day. Creatine is continuously converting to creatinine, the waste product, at a rate of 1 to 2% of your total creatine pool per day. The maintenance dose replaces what's lost through that conversion. Skip days and your stores erode slightly with each one. Over weeks, inconsistency genuinely matters. If you stop supplementing entirely, your stores return to baseline over 4 to 6 weeks. No withdrawal effects, no hormonal rebound. Your endogenous synthesis simply resumes at its normal 1 gram per day rate. How do you know when you've actually hit full saturation? Not from a feeling, because creatine doesn't produce one. The signals are performance-based. Weights you previously failed at 5 reps become completable at 6 or 7. Sprint recovery between intervals feels noticeably better. You're ready earlier than before. Training quality stays higher deeper into a session than it used to. These aren't placebo effects. They're the measurable consequence of a fuller phosphocreatine reservoir translating into more reps and faster recovery in the training you're already doing. The scale typically shows an increase of 1 to 3 kilograms over the first 2 to 3 weeks, reflecting intramuscular water accumulation. This is creatine drawing water osmotically into your muscle cells, not subcutaneous puffiness, not fat. It's a reliable signal that creatine is loading into your muscles as expected. The most important practical point: consistency is more critical than timing. Taking creatine every day, training days and rest days both, is what maintains saturation. Skipping rest days because you didn't train erodes your stores marginally each time, and over weeks this compounds. Make it a daily habit tied to something you already do every morning, and the timing problem solves itself. The reservoir fills quietly. The performance data tells you when it's full, and from there, the goal is simply keeping it there.